All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Maddie here from Chill TCG, of course, just like every day, right? So we're going to be taking a look, actually, at a Mad Party list today. So this is actually the Mad Party list that got second at Chill Series number 20, played by Gabe Shumway. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Grand Finals match, we did post that video earlier in the week, and then a few days after that, we made a video where we posted the video going over the Pikarom list that ended up winning. But you know, I didn't really have anything else to post today, and so we're going to do something different. A lot of you guys were pretty excited about the Mad Party list, wanted to hear more about the list, hear from Gabe, actually. People were asking to bring Gabe on the podcast. We might do that in the future, who knows, but I figured just making a separate video on his list with Gabe might even just be better. So we have Gabe on the call. This is Gabe Shumway. He got second at Chill Series number 20. Also got second at like Chill Series 12 or 13, I believe, as well. Or 15, I think.
Yeah, something a while back.
Yeah, a little while back. So it's definitely super cool. What's going on, Gabe? How you doing?
Yeah, nothing too crazy going on today. Of course, it's a national holiday, so enjoy the time off. But yeah, it's been going pretty well.
That's right. It is a holiday today, man. Totally. I mean, I totally didn't forget about that. All right. So yeah, we're looking at the Mad Party list. I assume you got it pulled up as well.
Yep.
Cool. So I mean, you know, Gabe, it's funny because Mad Party, when it came out, I think people were a bit high on it. They were like, "Oh, Mad Party's sweet." It's sort of the new, like, was it Night March or Lost March? Was it Night March? Lost March?
Well, Night March was way back in the day. I think
Okay.
it's similar to Night March,
Okay.
but Lost March is also a similar concept.
Yeah, I get them mixed up because yeah. Okay, anyway, it's sort of that new concept. It's where it's like a collection of single prize, smaller Pokemon, which all have this collective attack. Mad Party is what the deck's based around, and the concept here, and I'll pull up just an example of Bunnelby. So it's super basic, like 40 HP basic Pokemon, but for 2 colorless, it has the attack Mad Party, so 20 damage, 20 times 20 more for each Pokemon that's in your discard pile with the Mad Party attack. Now we have a wide collection of Mad Party Pokemon in the deck. So the idea here is, to just sort of attack with these small single prize Pokemon. Inevitably in the late game, you're going to be hitting some big numbers, right? So realistically, it's a math deck. From what I've seen, and I haven't played too much Mad Party, Gabe, this is a big reason why I brought you on to explain it a little bit. Seems kind of a fast-paced deck, right? I mean, I know it it does better the longer you go on with it, but you definitely want to burn through a lot of cards quick, right? That's a big idea with the deck.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it's fast-paced. Doesn't always work out like that. I mean, that's the goal.
Right, for sure. So I'll just run down it real quick, and then I'll ask you just a few things, right, as we go. But definitely just want to explain the list a little bit before we go into it, sort of its matchups and things like that. First of all, we'll cover the Mad Party Pokemon themselves. So again, first of all, we have Bunnelby. This is one of our primary attackers, mainly just because it has 2 colorless in its attack cost, so we can attach that Twin Energy to it. So it's definitely one of the Mad Party Pokemon that we want to be attacking with. And we definitely have some Mad Party Pokemon that we just want to be discarding. Next up, we have Dedenne, and this is an example of one that we want to discard. So he's got more HP, but he also has a Mad Party attack, except this one takes a Psychic and 2 colorless. So we're not actually even running any Psychic Energy in the deck. So we're never actually going to be able to attack with this guy. Right, Gabe? So we're just looking to discard these things, right? When we're running
Yeah, you'll never attack with the Bunnelby and the Polteageist. The others are just kind of trade fodder to get your attack cost up and get your damage up.
For sure. Yeah, so I mean, like you can see too, right? So like Bunnelby, just 2 colorless in the attack cost. Dedenne, it's got a Psychic and 2 colorless. We're running 4 of each, of course. All of these Mad Party Pokemon, we're running 4 of them. And then next up, for Mad Party Pokemon, we got Galarian Mr. Rime. This one's kind of funny. For people who are newer to the game, Gabe, it might be a bit interesting to explain this to them. So this is a Stage 1 Pokemon when we're running 4 of them, but we're not running any Mr. Mimes. So we're technically never able to actually play this card, right? So it's literally just there.
I mean, in that way, it's better than Dedenne. Dedenne, you can sometimes get stuck starting it,
right.
But with Mr. Rime, at least, it's never an option as your starter. You never get it stuck on the board.
Right, exactly. So it's technically more useful than Dedenne. But again, not something we're ever actually able to put on the board or play. It does have the Mad Party attack, just adds a water to the attack cost, and then it has Shuffle Dance. So once during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's face-down prize cards with the top card of their deck. Not very important. We're never using the ability. But a very important card of the deck, and sort of the I guess sort of the front runner, the card that I always use is like and it's on the thumbnail, is the Polteageist. And this is sort of, I think, the face of the deck. It's got a great ability, and of course it's got the Mad Party attack for 2 colorless, so it's a great attacking Pokemon, but a Pokemon that you definitely want to use often for the ability as well, right? Does that
Yeah, definitely a really solid card. I mean, it's very good in the late game too, or even in like mid or early game Marnies. It can help you recover really nicely, and just it helps you ramp up your attack cost. And a lot of times you want to try and attack with the Bunnelbys in the early game, so that way if you get stamped late game, you still have a Polteageist left at that point to continue drawing more cards.
For sure. Yeah, and that ability is super good. It goes perfectly with the deck, sort of the type of deck, as well as just the attacks of all the Pokemon too. So T-Break, you must discard a Pokemon that has a Mad Party attack from your hand in order to use this ability, and then once during your turn, when you do this, you get to draw 2 cards. So it's actually super cool, right? You get to discard those Mad Party Pokemon, which boosts your damage, while also drawing some cards. So like you said, it's definitely good for all of those things.
Yeah, it serves a few different purposes.
For sure. And you can attack with it, right? That's one thing to know.
Yeah, a big thing too is there's decks that are starting to play more and more copies of Wondrous Labyrinth. I know I played against 2 in the tournament.
Yep.
So you can use triple acceleration on that as well, which you can't use on Bunnelby. So it gives you outs to attack more times, and if your opponent is trying to disrupt your attacks, then it also gives you responses to that.
Right. Yeah, very good point, actually. Wonderlab is pretty common, actually, nowadays. Of course, people run it in Senti a little bit. People playing in... what is it? I guess I saw one person playing in Peak recently.
They played in Orbeetle.
Yeah, Orbeetle as well. Yep. So, again, yeah, definitely seeing some play. But Polteageist is really good. However, it's a Stage 1 Pokemon like Mr. Rime, except we actually want to get these guys on our board, so we're running some Sinesteas, which don't have the Mad Party attack, but we just play them, of course, to get into the Polteageist. We're running... so we run 4 Polteageists and 4 Mr. Rimes, but for Sinistea, we're running 3. I assume this is kind of the reason for this game is because you probably aren't going to want to be playing all 4 Polteageists.
Usually you're going to discard. Yeah, usually you're going to discard 1 or 2 throughout the course of the game,
right?
And you're never attack with 4 Poltergeists. I mean, at most, you'll need 6 attackers, but typically with early game knockouts, you'll need typically about 5, sometimes 4 if you're lucky, attackers.
Yep.
So I mean, you're using Bunnelby usually 3 times, Polteageist, twice is pretty typical.
For sure. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that makes total sense to me. And then, so that's it for like the Mad Party Pokemon, right? The core of the deck. But we do have some other Pokemon that are there for, support reasons. We do have Oranguru. I'm kind of curious, is there a specific reason we have Oranguru in the deck here? Or is it really just to sort of save some cards in our hand because we're often discarding our hands with Dedenne and Research?
Yeah, the biggest reason is just for discarding your hands overall.
Right.
But the biggest thing is you only have 7 energies that you can use throughout the game.
Yeah.
So I know when I first started testing this, I wasn't, when it first came out, I wasn't a fan because I wasn't trying out the Oranguru package. But with Oranguru, what you can do is you can preserve your energies, or even things like Boss's Orders. Like, you have so many resources that are in very thin counts, especially in a list like this where you have to take up 16 spots just for your Mad Party Pokemon. So preserving resources is one of the biggest concerns while playing the deck.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And again, it ties into some other things that we're going to cover a little bit. And specifically right now, so we're running 1 Crobat, and we have 3 Dedennes in the deck. To cover Dedenne, now, Dedenne seems like it's obviously a staple in almost every deck, but in this deck specifically, it seems just absolutely fantastic. It's a great draw engine card. But at the same time, you want to discard those Mad Party Pokemon, right, early on throughout the game. You want to get them in the discard pile, boost your damage. Dedenne's really good for that because you chuck your hand in the discard pile and draw 6 more. Also, you can get that Oranguru down on the bench, maybe save a card in your hand, put on the top of your deck before you discard your hand, right? And, all right. Okay, getting back to it. Sorry about that, guys. My camera died, so we're going to run without the camera from here on out. Sorry about that. Okay, anyway, back to Dedenne. So again, you love to chuck your hand. You love to discard those Mad Party Pokemon. Again, goes with the fast pace of the deck. A great draw supporter. We have the Oranguru to back it up, save those cards in our hand. 3 of those, 3 Dedennes, which is a pretty high count. But you know what? I think it makes sense with this deck. And then we have a Crobat V in there. I assume the Crobat V is just for that extra dig option, right? If we play a Dedenne, we have the option to also play Crobat.
Yeah, it gives you the option to have one big dig turn, or a lot of times there's just stuff that you don't want to get rid of. It's just kind of a staple card in general.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I would do the same thing. Like, it just always makes sense. Like, if you're running, even if you're running 4 of Dedenne, it makes sense to just run that one Crobat, because the ability to use a Dedenne and a Crobat and a supporter in one turn is just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, okay. And then lastly, we have a Mew. So we got a Mew from, I believe this is Unbroken Bonds Mew. And this is the one with bench barrier. So prevent all damage done to your bench by your opponent's attacks. Now, I assume the main, sort of idea, and really probably the only idea behind this deck to run Mew is, we do have those Dedennes and those Crobats, and this is a single prize archetype deck list. So we don't want our opponent sniping our bench or bossing anything up. Well, I guess mainly sniping the bench. To take a couple prizes, whether that's with Pigrom or with Cramorant, which is becoming more common with Cryptcephalon. Mew is going to help with that. But we also do have another failsafe when it comes to that stuff as well. But I assume that's really the idea for Mew.
Yeah, it has a major swing in the Cryptcephalon matchup. I remember nearly losing a match against that just because I prized Mew. And yeah, it definitely gives you kind of a safety net against Pigrom if you get a somewhat slow start.
Right, and I mean, I know Cryptcephalon is becoming crazy popular these days, right? It's like maybe one of them. I mean, Centiskorch is still very popular, but between Cryptcephalon and Centiskorch, those are two very most like heavily played decks right now. So, and even Sennies these days are playing Cram in their deck. So
yeah, people love their welder.
For sure, man. People love their welder. So that's the Pokemon lineup. Everything's pretty airtight. Everything has its place, and I honestly really like the Pokemon lineup for the deck. So. We're just going to move on quickly, or a bit more quickly, go through the trainer cards. We run 1 E-Radar, and this is literally just to find those Dedennes because they are pretty crucial to the deck. Another cool thing about E-Radar that makes this deck awesome is that you discard 2 cards from your hand to find those Dedennes. So again, just some more options to get rid of those Mad Party Pokemon. I think it just works really well with the deck. 4 Evo Incense. So in terms of Pokemon search, Gabe, we're running 4 Evo Incense, 4 Great Balls, and 4 Quick Balls. So just a ton of Pokemon search in the deck. Evo Incense, you can grab your Mr. Rimes, you can grab your Polteageists, which is 8 Pokemon, which is actually a good, a large amount of the deck. Great Balls, of course, just pretty consistent. You're running 25 Pokemon in the deck, so the odds are you're probably going to find at least one in the top 7 cards.
The thing is, it can provide so many things too, and playing all this Pokemon search because of having Polteageist on the bench constantly, pretty much any Pokemon search card can provide you a way to draw more cards, which feels really, really nice with the deck.
For sure. And it's also kind of extra stuff where, I think, right, it just overall boosts the consistency, and it's also something where technically we can discard it from our hand with Research of Dedenne and not feel too terrible. It wouldn't feel great, but, kind of comes down to that. And then 4 Quick Balls. So again, really good. We can find those almost all the Pokemon in our deck, excluding those evolution Pokemon, and discard a card as well. So Quick Ball makes total sense. So that's our Pokemon search. We're running 2 Great Catchers in here, Gabe, on top of 2 Boss's Orders. So, someone like you who plays the deck, who had a lot of success with the deck, did you find that, gusting was actually really important with this list?
Yeah, it's definitely really important, and a lot of times you're playing Research or Giovanni's Exile is another card that's really important to play at some point in the game, usually. So the 2 Great Catcher, a lot of times you're just bringing up a Dedenne on the bench to take a quick knockout, or if you, got one hit off on a tag team, you can one-shot it, sort of thing. And pretty much everything that you want to, or I would say everything. I'd say a vast majority of stuff you're bringing up or gusting throughout the game is going to be a GX anyway.
Right.
So it gives you the opportunity to still get another useful supporter in for turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes total sense. Of course, things like Cryptcephalon, Blounds are going to have a lot of GX Pokemon between Dedennes or Corios and whatnot, and then things like Peak are just almost exclusively GX Pokemon, right? And I think the Great Catcher's smart because, like you said, a lot of times you're going to want to research, dig for cards or Giovanni's on one turn because that's crucial, and then we'll have Great Catcher because it's not a supporter. Great Catcher, of course, also you discard cards from your hand. So it's like you can do some cheeky play where you Great Catcher away some stuff, fix the math while gusting up something in the same turn. And I think that's just super good as well. And I think this deck, of course, with any single prize deck, really, that does big damage, you want to win the prize race. A part of that is gusting up those big 2 and 3 prize Pokemon, right, to get those KOs. So yeah, I mean, I would think Gust is pretty important for sure.
Yeah, the Pal Pad too allows you to
Oh yeah,
kind of recover too, or gust some
yeah,
extra time. So
for sure.
you definitely have plenty of gust in the deck.
For sure. So we got two great catchers, and then we do have one Pal Pad, and like you said, that's sort of to grab the boss back in the or put it back in the deck, for the most part, right? I mean, I guess you can use it for.
I mean, there's a few uses. I mean, Giovanni's Exile is another one, but
yeah,
I'd say boss is typically what you're getting back.
cool. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. We'll talk about Giovanni's Exile in just a little bit. Okay, and then we have an Ordinary Rod in here. Now, people might be kind of curious about this. I guess some people will just obviously know why it's in there, but for the people who might be wondering, this deck, of course, yeah, you want to discard those Mad Party Pokemon. The more Pokemon in your discard pile, the more damage you do. But like we mentioned earlier, some of these Pokemon are ones that we need to attack, and other ones aren't, right? And sometimes you're just in a spot where you run out of those Pokemon that are your attacking Pokemon. And Ordinary Rod, whereas it seems like it's kind of counterintuitive to sort of your damage output and that aspect of the deck overall, I think it really makes the deck a bit more playable in terms of the mid and late game. Do you have any specific reason why it's in here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can just burn out too early, or you have to go very aggressive early, or awkward hands. It can help you recover and help you play a little more aggressively without that kind of worry in the back of your head that you're going to run out of stuff. Also, a cool play that you can do a lot of times late game, if you're looking for that last piece to win the game, is go Giovanni's Exile to discard Crobats or DAAs, and then you can Ordinary Rod them back and search them out and kind of get two DAA changes out of one DAA in the deck.
Yeah, that's very smart, actually, now that I think about it, because you can Ordinary Rod back the Crobat or Dedenne, right? So the idea of being able to Giovanni's Exile them off the bench and then put them back in with Ordinary Rod is actually super cool. So I like it. Just one of those in the deck as well, but overall, I think it's definitely a really smart decision. We covered Pal Pad, Quick Ball. We're running a Tool Scrapper. Now, I guess there's a lot of different reasons this could be in here. Do you have anything in particular for like a reason why we're running Scrapper?
Yeah, that was the 60th card. In hindsight, I probably would have cut it, but the biggest reason was mainly for Luke Metal, because a lot of times they just are reducing so much that you need to get rid of that Metal Goggles to be able to take knockouts, and I feel like it kind of swings that Luke Metal matchup from 40-60 to 55-45 or 60-40 in your direction. But the deck wasn't nearly as popular as I thought. I hit one throughout the event.
Yeah, Luke Metal is taking a little bit of a fall, but to that same point, I think it does make sense because, of course, like Zacian, with the Luke Metal GX boost, with the goggles, it might be a little bit more hard to knock out. That extra 30, getting rid of the goggles, I think is going to be, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I guess even like a big charm, right? Sometimes the math will just work out where you need to knock off a big charm. So maybe that's, you never know. But yeah, so I mean, if you had, right, so I mean, in hindsight, if we were cutting that card for something else at this point, after you've played the deck through the tournament, had a good run, what might you change it for?
I would have added in a Marshadow.
Okay.
Because the deck plays no stadium, so a lot of times you can just, especially with Wonder Lab, or there's different things that your opponent can just stick and play for the whole game and not worry about it. So yeah, Marshadow would definitely help out the deck.
Yeah, that actually sounds super, super good now that I think about it. Do you think that running a Marshadow is better than like throwing a Swell in here? Yeah,
I considered Swell as well, but I feel like it's too hard to find.
That is so true.
Marshadow, you can just search it out.
Very true. Very true. Very good point. very, very smart coming from a smart player. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, just that's something for people to note if they're watching this. Maybe you could toss that Scrapper out there, put a Marshadow in there. Let us know how it goes. Okay, and then we'll move on to supporters. So we got 2 Boss, 1 Giovanni's, and 4 Research. Now, everyone knows what Boss is in here for. We talked about that later. Everyone knows what Research is in here for as well. Again, it's we get to chuck our hand, discard those cards that we need, draw 7 cards. We can Dedenne Research in 1 turn, go through a lot of our deck. Great supporter. Giovanni's Exile, this might be something that not everybody knows about. Giovanni's Exile, so you discard 2 cards, are up to 2 of your benched Pokemon that have no damage counters on them, and you discard all cards attached to them as well. So you might be thinking, like, why do you want to just, like, it's literally just here to clear up bench space, like, typically, right? But the idea behind it in this deck is actually really good, right? So Like Gabe said earlier, we have the Dedenes and we have the Crobats. Those are very useful to the deck, but they're a liability, leaving those 2 prize Pokemon down on our bench. Things like Cramorant might get us, against an ADP, they can boss it up, take 3 prizes. We don't want that. So Giovanni's Exile allows us to play those, down those Dedenes, those 2 prize draw supporters, without sort of needing to worry about them staying on our bench. We can, exile them away, which is incredibly useful. And also, like he mentioned earlier, we have Ordinary Rod to get them back after we exile them. So I think that Exile is a very important card to this deck, and I don't think people were running Exile. I want to say like a month or 2 ago,
No, I think people were still running it then. I think that was kind of when it was actually being popularized. If I recall correctly, I think a month ago, when it first got popularized, people were playing 2 plus the Pal Pad, which I thought it was a little overkill. But I mean, you do tend to use it, I would say, like 50% to 75% of your games, depending on what your matchup spread looks like for a given event.
Right. What I remember, right, and like you said, it was probably a little bit longer ago, but about a month or 2 ago, there was, I think, a wide collection of pretty high-level players that got together, built a list, and then played it at one of the GG Tour regionals. And some of them did great, some of them didn't, but they really kind of refined the list, right? And that was, I think, when they incorporated Giovanni's Exile into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure my list was a card or 2 off of theirs, to be fair. The list was just, I couldn't really find anything wrong with it, for the most part. But yeah, that's pretty much the staple list to reference, I would say.
For sure. And I think around that time was when people really started to take the deck seriously. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is sort of the highest placement Mad Party's gotten at a bigger size tournament. Like, you got second here at 227 players. I think that's one of the best placements.
Yeah, at a tournament of this size, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah.
I feel like it might have gotten like
it's got
top 4 something at a Hegster.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to say I saw Cash's graphic earlier this week, and it said that Mad Party had 1 win in an event, but I don't think it was one of the big size events.
Right. I mean, either way, definitely impressive, right? So, and if people have seen my 10 best decks video that I made a few weeks ago, now it actually made the top 10 list. So I think it was like number 7 on our list actually. So it's definitely becoming much more relevant in the meta than it was for about
it's been having some solid placements lately for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's because the list has gotten more refined and people are really learning how to play the deck. And it's a good one, man. And then to finish it off, we got 3 Air Balloons. Now, Air Balloons give literally all our Pokemon free retreat, right? So I just noticed now, actually, we're not running Switch, so that makes sense that we're running some Air Balloons.
Yeah, the deck doesn't play any Switch. I mean, it can often cause you to lose some games, or there's a way that people can play around it where it gives them an advantage, but it doesn't matter in 90% of your games. I've occasionally considered a Switch. I think in the next format, with Escape Rope being reprinted, you can add that in, but for now, I think it's fine because everything in your deck has 2 or less retreat, and it's not like you have a big ADP or something that can get paralyzed and stuck in the active.
Right. No, exactly. Like, if anything gets KO'd, like, you're kind of like, okay, cool, like, knock it out, right? But yeah. So interesting. Some people might think that's interesting, no Switch, but there's other decks that do that as well. And I think with a deck like this, it's much less sort of punishing. To an extent. Do you ever feel like you need more than 3 Air Balloons, or like do you need like a Switch, or like do you think that 3 Air Balloons is good right now for the deck? You think it's fine?
Yeah, I think I would go down to 2 before I added a 4th or added another Switch or something. Okay. Usually 3 should give you enough. Oftentimes you have to discard 1. Actually no, you never have to discard 1 because you can always just attach to a guy. But yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm running through them too early and attaching them too early because I can't necessarily save them. And then late game, sometimes you can get punished or get something trapped in the active, but it's very rare that happens.
Right. So I think it's a good plan, and it opens up much more space in the deck for things that honestly are probably a bit more useful, right? But
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then this deck's only running 7 energy. We got 4 Twin Energies here, which is just we can attach it to anything that's not a V or a GX. And it's 2 colorless energy, so again, works single attachment for an attack from Bunnelby and Polteageist. And then we have 3 triple accelerations because it can. We can only run 4 Twin Energies, and it's probably the most efficient option. Again, we cannot attach this to Bunnelby because it's a basic Pokemon, right? But we can attach it to Polteageist as a a single attachment attack option. In a deck like this, Gabe, I think you said it earlier, it's probably only attacking like 6 times.
Yeah, usually 5 or 6 times.
Right, and we have 7 energies, so technically you can attack 7 at the most. But yeah, it's definitely a deck where you kind of really want to hold your attacks for when they matter, right? And take just sort of you plan out your damage output pretty smartly, right? And you get those KOs on things that matter, right? So
yeah, I definitely think you have to have like some level of just being able to some level of restraint playing the deck, or at least knowledge of your resources. I think it takes a handful of games before you can like. So I wouldn't just pick up my deck now and play it for a tournament that starts in 30 minutes. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it doesn't take a ton of skill, but yeah, don't just pick it up right away and expect to do well.
Right. Don't give the old ADP treatment. You gotta respect it. Yeah. Okay, I hear you. So that's the list, Gabe. I guess I'll ask you, in terms of matchups, is there anything that you specifically think this deck does very well against or very poorly against?
Yeah, I feel comfortable in pretty much every matchup with the deck. The only thing that I'm usually worried to play against is Eternatus.
Right.
Just because they can, usually against those big VMAX decks, you can trade fairly well because you can consistently discard your Dedennes and Crobat the Giovannis. But because they play 4 Zigzagoon,
right,
they can just start pinging them and make it so that you can't discard them. So they're able to, if they can draw their bosses at the right time, it can be tough. Also, since you don't play Switch, Yveltal, using Clutch can sometimes be a bit of a worry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense. One thing I do want to mention is, personally, I feel like Orbeetle has a pretty good matchup against Mad Party.
I played against Orbeetle once with the deck, and I beat it. Ooh. That's about the extent of my knowledge with it.
That's wild. I mean, again, I'm not saying like you never beat Orbeetle, but if I had to choose a deck to play against Mad Party right now, Orbeetle might be my first choice, like personally, or E-Turn or something like that. But again, Orbeetle not very common of a deck in the format, not a very good deck, so I wouldn't worry about that. Mad Party, yeah, it definitely seems like a deck that the matchup spread is good, and it's one of those things where if you hit Mad Party like in bracket or like in a tournament or whatnot in Swiss, you really gotta hope that you play it smart, right, and you hope that they don't
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like a high roll deck at times, but I feel like there's definitely a big difference of skill level when you're playing against Mad Party. So there's like very good E-turn players, and it's very hard to beat them. And then there's E-turn players who are less experienced in the matchup, and it feels a lot easier.
Right. I agree. I think it's kind of has like a Luke Metal feel in that respect, where you kind of punish people who are a bit more uneducated on the matchup, whereas you get punished if people are very experienced on it, right? So yeah, cool, man, super cool. I love it. I love Mad Party, man. Again, it was 7th on the 10 best decks list, Gabe. Would you think that's accurate, or do you think it's
wait, so when did you make that?
So that was I made it a couple weeks ago, but it was it combined all of the data from the month of January, actually. So
okay, I was wondering if it was before or after the tournament on Wednesday. I mean, I feel like it's a little better than 7, but I feel like everything considered, 7 is definitely on the bad spot for it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think that next month's list, right, in about 2 or 3 weeks now, I think it'll probably be higher
like 5 or 6. I think 6 is a decent place for it.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think Blounds was at 6, to be honest with you. So maybe we'll see some shift. I would love to see it. I love when things get shaken up. And Mad Party, I think, is definitely a really cool deck and a really good deck for the format, for the meta right now. So, yeah. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up, Gabe. I mean, you want to plug yourself? You want to tell them anything?
Yeah, I'm not sponsored right now. Don't write for anywhere. I'm happy to. If anybody's watching and wants to take me on, please do. I'm happy
sign
to.
This man.
Yeah, sign me. I'm a free agent. But yeah, just shout out to everyone who helps me test. Helps me decide the crazy decision to actually play Mad Party.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
That's about it.
Yeah, you got a Twitter?
Yes, it's at Gabe, or it's at Shumway Gameplay.
Shumway, okay. All right, I'll put it in the description below.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, awesome, and yeah, thank you so much for coming on. That was Mad Party, guys. It's definitely a super cool deck list. One thing I forgot to mention is it's actually pretty cheap to build, all things considered. Definitely one of the best budget decks right now in the game. So, thank you so much, Gabe, for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to leave you guys off with the note that the GG Tour Regional Tournament is coming up this Sunday, the $3,000 Regional, this Saturday and Sunday, actually. So it's a really great. Registration to the tournament is $10 to play. However, you can use the code CHILL2 to get $2 off your entry fee. Top 32 people win $50 cash. Definitely worth it. Definitely go try it out. It's probably one of the most premier, event for the most part every month. And this one's coming up on Saturday. And Chill Series LCQ is coming on Wednesday. So we got plenty of stuff this week. Our invitational is next week. However, we do need that 30-second spot filled out. So whoever wins this last chance qualifier gets to come to the invitational tournament, as well as free entry into that GG Tour tournament. So highly suggest that you play on Wednesday. And if you have time, play this weekend as well. So, we're going to wrap it up, Gabe. So thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. And we will see you guys soon.